Keller, I respect you fantasy wise.
It's always about around the 9 minute 30 second mark where it starts to get personal. We should start ending the video.
All
So,
right, we're gonna wrap this up. What's up, Fackers? We are back with our Fantasy and Chill 101, counting down the top 101 fantasy football players for the 2020 season. Number 32 on the countdown is wide receiver for the Minnesota Vikings, Adam Thielen. He is our 13th ranked wide receiver. Last year, he finished as wide receiver number 61. So he had an injury shortened year last year. He had 30 catches for 418 yards, 6 touchdowns on 47 targets. He scored 100. Okay. You can just cough in the middle of my stats here.
We
well,
got the Rona.
I muted myself, but they didn't hear that. Now you already you out of me though. So go ahead.
Okay. 100.4 fantasy points, an average of 10 points per game. All right. So as we know, the Vikings did trade Stefon Diggs to the Bills. So whereas Thielen was kind of in a 1A, 1B scenario with Diggs, he is now most definitely the top target in Minnesota. He did miss 6 games last season, like I mentioned, because of the hamstring injury, but that was his first time to ever miss any time in the league. He didn't miss any games his first 5 seasons, and he is coming off 2017 and 2018 were top 10 fantasy seasons for him. Last year, prior to his injury, he was wide receiver 9, so maybe on his way to another top 10 finish before that injury. So he still has a lot of gas left in the tank, still has a lot to show, and we'll see if he can prove that he is that number one guy again for Minnesota.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of Thielen's success depends on him and Kirk Cousins, like chemistry. And I mean, he's 29. That's the only thing that kind of worries me. He's about to be 30. But I mean, he should be the number one there. Justin Jefferson, they drafted him. I actually like him coming out of LSU. But Cousins, I mean, they're not going to have a really long training camp. Cousins and Thielen have a connection. I could easily see him being a wide receiver one, but I personally just don't believe in him right now. I think he's too old. I think I really don't know why they got rid of Diggs, but I think his best years are behind him personally.
It was only 2 years ago. He had 1,200 yards, and he was
I'm reading 1300 or almost 1400 on
yeah,
113 catches. Yeah, monster year, 9 touchdowns. I remember that year because he literally had like 10
yeah,
games.
yeah.
I don't remember how
It
10
was
games in a
insane.
row or something, 100 yards and a touchdown every fucking
Yeah.
game. I mean, and before last season, he had played 16 games every single
Yeah,
season. So,
sure.
but like he's got some things going against him, okay? He's getting older. He's
That's one.
white.
Oh,
He's
okay.
six. I mean, I don't know, just
What about Edelman? Edelman's been doing this.
he's a slot guy though. Thielen plays on the outside.
Yeah, but so I don't think there's. Last year we were kind of. There's always be that question like, oh, who's gonna go off this game? What is it gonna be, Diggs or is it gonna be Thielen? I don't think there's any question this year that it's Thielen is the number one.
Yeah, but the problem was it was Diggs every game. I feel like I'm looking at his stats last year. Thielen did go off one game, 130 yards, 2 touchdowns. His highest yard total besides that was one game at 75. I understand he was hurt, but then he had multiple games at
Yeah,
50. I mean, he was a bust last
you're proving
And
my
he,
point
he
though.
relies a lot on his touchdowns.
But
But
well, I wouldn't even say that. I think he relies just on catches, in my personal opinion, because he's never had double-digit touchdowns. He had
well,
9 the year he went off,
that's
and the year before that was 4 and 5.
when you're going for a fantasy wide receiver, you look at opportunity and volume, and this is your guy.
That's
Like this
true.
is why Michael
That's true.
Thomas is going in the first round because that's what he does is get receptions.
Let's not compare Michael Thomas and Adam Thielen.
I
Like, I
didn't.
think
So
Thomas is
that
a huh?
I said that's why you're drafting Michael Thomas because he gets receptions. So does Adam Thielen.
Yes,
We'll
but
have to
Drew
go
Brees
back and
isn't
listen to that
Kirk
because it sounded
Cousins.
like a comparison to me. But
It did.
I was
But
comparing that they're both possession receivers. That's all I was saying.
okay. I agree with that. But it's just I don't believe in Thielen. And look, if you can get him a little bit later, his ADP, I'm sure this is standard. I always fuck this up, but
28,
29. Okay, 28. That's not
wide
that far.
receiver 11.
But I mean, are you taking a third or fourth round pick on this guy? Like, I mean, the guys I'm taking, like Odell is going around him, right? AJ
I'd
Brown,
rather have
Juju,
Thielen.
Amari Cooper. I like all those guys better than him.
I don't know. I think I like Thielen more than Odell. Who's a
Really?
more talented player? Probably Odell, but I like
Yes.
Thielen's chemistry he already has with Kirk Cousins. Justin Jefferson shouldn't be a. Don't do it. Shouldn't be a factor. He's a rookie with no training camp, so it's going to take him a while to get used to the offense.
Monster at LSU. Jefferson can ball.
Yeah. And the-
I love Thielen's opportunity. Like you said, he's the number one. It's like he's the number one. It's not even close there.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, you Jefferson, Irv Smith, Kyle Rudolph's like he's nothing anymore.
No.
There's not a lot there.
He's nothing. He caught the game-winning touchdown.
That's all he
versus the
does, though.
Saints last
Okay, he
year.
probably had like 12 yards that game.
Yeah.
Just saying, don't think he's nothing, bro.
That's a Kyle Rudolph game right there. 12 yards, one
we know
touchdown.
what the Vikings want to do. They want to run the ball with Dalvin Cook. All
I
right,
agree.
that's going to be the most of their offense. But when it's time to throw it in the end zone and score touchdowns, it's going to be Thielen. He's going to be the guy. Like you said, he's got the chemistry with Kirk Cousins. Likes to go
Real
up
quick,
and get
speaking
it.
on that.
He has some great highlights of catching it in the end zone. Like,
Speaking on the
he's gonna
chemistry.
score.
Okay.
Let
me
me
ask
throw
you
this
this.
out there real quick with the chemistry
ahead.
on Kirk Cousins. When Kirk Cousins was targeting him, he had a 130 QB rating, no interceptions.
Okay.
Okay.
That's all that needs to be said. That's your chemistry right there.
All right. He's going.
And I said he had good chemistry with
Yeah,
Kirk Cousins.
and I was trying to
Look.
speak on that. I was trying to add some,
Sound
value.
Like kind of like rebuttal me.
No.
Let me bring up a point here. He's going borderline third, fourth round, correct?
Correct.
10 team, yeah.
If Diggs was still there, how far is he dropping?
Maybe like I don't even know,
A full round.
maybe at most.
Maybe, but they've shown that they can both succeed in that offense at the same time.
I know, but the recency bias comes in, and Diggs had those. You had him last year, Keller. He was a monster 4 or 5
Well,
games in a row.
3 games.
He had 4 or 5 games better. Thielen had 1 game compared to his 4 or 5 games. I'm just saying.
And then the 2 years prior, Thielen was the better guy.
I just think it all depends on Thielen's health. If
Like I
he's
said,
healthy,
before he got hurt last year, he was wide
Yeah.
receiver 9. He was still a top 10 wide receiver before he got hurt.
yeah.
Yeah. Another thing, in 40 games, he's been 6th in PPR points per game and yards per game, 6th, and 7th in receptions per game.
Yeah, I like Thielen
That's
a whole lot
consistency.
more in PPR. Half PPR I like him, but standard I wouldn't.
He gets red zone
I just-
targets too, though.
I know, but he's never had double-digit touchdowns. I mean, last year he did have 6 and only 48 targets, so that's pretty damn good. But
Yeah, and missed 6 games last year too.
look, I think he's peaked. That's my personal opinion.
I mean, he definitely could have, but I
guess,
think he still
like
has
I
some
said
value.
Earlier, though, we'll see this year. He's the number one guy. He's gonna have everything going to him. We'll see what he does with it.
Do we expect him to fall off a ledge? No. So he's it's not like he's gonna. I don't think he's gonna be a bust by any means.
Look, I've done 1,000 mock drafts so far, and I
We
haven't
know.
taken him in one. Okay.
Okay,
I
well, you've
just-
taken
there's
Daryl
always-
Henderson in half of them.
That's 'cause
so
you're
I don't
drafting-
really
The grass is
care.
greener.
It's because
The
you're drafting
grass is
Kenny
greener.
Galladay and Marvin Jones and Matt
The grass is
Stafford.
greener, okay? I'm telling you, AJ Brown, DJ Moore, Juju, all these young guys, they're gonna be sexier.
Oh yeah, sexier doesn't always pan out.
No, that's true. Now let's get down to the schedule. He does
There we
have
go.
a favorable. does have
But seriously, he does. Yeah, I don't know. I think he's kind of reminds me of like Allen Robinson in a way.
True. Yes, not the sexy pick, but someone who can be solid as fuck for you.
Yeah.
I would not want Thielen as my number 1, but I would feel very comfortable with him as my number 2.
I feel
But
like
where you're
we've
having
been
to
saying this
draft
about
him-
every wide receiver we've done so far.
Well, look, I mean, first off, they're Keller's ranking, so they're kind of horseshit. And then second
Whoa.
off, we haven't gotten to the cream of the crop.
Most of the guys you say, you bring up your precious fantasy pro
I'm
rankings, and
just
we're
kidding.
pretty
I'm,
similar.
I'm kidding. Don't
You're
take it
not.
personal. Huh?
I hear you talking shit at BW about my rankings.
Keller, I respect you fantasy-wise.
It's always about around the 9-minute 30-second mark where it starts to get personal. We should start ending the video. So
All right, we're gonna wrap this up. Adam Thielen is our
Fuck you, Keller.
13th ranked wide receiver, number 32 overall. We out.
We